Greetings and welcome to Two Melanated Minds. I'm your host, Chris Enlightened, and I'm joined by my co-host, Dr. J. Today we'll be going deep on preparing for the second wave. This is a good one because a lot of people aren't preparing for the second wave of this coronavirus. So, Dr. J, what's your take on preparing for the second wave?
Well, I will tell you that the first wave took us by surprise. It took us by storm. We had no idea it was coming. We weren't prepared. It was hard to believe. And I think one of the things that stand out for me is we were totally unprepared. Totally unprepared. And so for the second wave, we know based on our experience that we have now, we have to get prepared. And there's several things that we need to do in order to make it through the second wave. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
Like most people, I was nowhere near prepared for the first wave. I'm 44, but I've never experienced anything like this in my life. And I'll be honest with you, I was so unprepared, I freaked out a little bit. And I went into the grocery store buying a bunch of groceries, buying up all the water, buying up everything because I was unsure on how long this was going to last. And now, after I bought all this food, I was like, do we save the food? Do we eat the food? I didn't know what to do with it. So I just started gradually eating the food. And I realized that, what am I afraid for? If I would have been prepared the first time, I wouldn't have had to worry about anything. So now the second wave, I feel more comfortable. I already have a stockpile of food and everything that I need. And I'm literally just getting my mind right. And I'm staying away from things that's feeding my subconscious mind negativity. I literally stopped watching the news. I stopped watching all the statistics about the corona and all this stuff. And I've been focusing on me. I've literally been meditating more. In the past, I was meditating like once every other day. Now, first thing in the morning, I wake up, I give thanks. I meditate for 10 to 15 minutes. I program my day. And I've noticed I've been winning more in this so-called pandemic than ever before. So I feel as if my mental state is much more prepared now than it was before the first wave. Because having all this time to think, I've been just literally tapping into different doors of opportunity, and I've been winning.
Absolutely. It's all about how you move. And there's a couple of things that you said. One is you panicked and you bought all this food. I want to address that because we know we're going to come into a time. I personally agree with you on the social media. I don't watch the news. I haven't watched the news in years. However, because we're home and we're bored, we get on that social media and it will overwhelm you with negativity. But the one thing that I am seeing is, yes, every spring people talk about gardening, but it's gardening as a hobby. You're going to have to look at gardening as survival. Because the second wave, if you saw that everyone took the toilet tissue on the first wave, you went to the store, all the canned goods were gone. The only thing that was left was the fresh fruits and vegetables, which is the most powerful thing that you can eat. The problem is they don't last long enough to sustain you. So what we're going to have to do to prepare for the second wave is we've got to learn how to grow our own food. It doesn't matter if you live in an apartment. It doesn't matter if you live in a garage. You can grow vegetables. You can grow fruits. You can grow natural herbs that have properties that are medicinal. You can do that. And that's one of the things that we have to do to get prepared. That's why we launched our YouTube station. It's the first time we've done it. It's because we felt that so many of us, because we live in urban areas or in the city, we're so dependent on the grocery stores. Well, you've seen plenty of movies about someone going to the store during a crisis and there's nothing left on the shelf. So experiencing this the first time, and it's not that there's a lack of food, because farmers are having to throw their crops away because the restaurants are closed and they're sitting there rotting. But if we think cooperatively, if we think with a village mindset, our people used to barter. And so if we start growing our own fruits and vegetables and herbs, and maybe you need something from one of your community members, but you don't have any money, you can say, hey, I've got this bushel of apples or oranges. I'd like to trade these oranges for some soap or something like that. I think that we're going to have to learn how to grow our own food, and we're going to have to go back to the basics and learn how to do the things that our grandparents used to do that we take for granted today.
You mentioned bartering and growing your own food and relying on other people to help you out, and going back to that community mindset. When I grew up, we didn't have a lot. When we didn't have, we always had a neighbor that we could knock on the door and get some canned goods and to feed ourselves for the day. And when they needed, they would come over and we would feed them. And now we don't have that relationship with our neighbors like that anymore. So what I've done to prepare for the second wave, I got a virtual community out there that I can pull information from, get resources from to win. So I've been using this time to rekindle old relationships and set strategic plans on what to do if anything happens negative. Because I was caught so far off guard the last time. I told myself and my wife and my daughter that we're not going to be feeling like this again. I felt helpless. I got complacent, and when you get complacent, your reality becomes complacent. And I told myself I would never do that again. I mean, I went as far as to get a bag where we got clothes in there. If anything pops off, we have to leave. I got them in the trunk of my car. We can leave with a survival bag. I bought survival gear, all type of stuff to prepare for the worst case scenario. I mean, I literally never thought about anything apocalyptic happening to us in my reality, in my life. So the first wave was such a wake-up call that it woke me up. I've been saving my money. I haven't been spending as much money. I'm keeping cash on me now. So I don't want to say I'm going to the extremes, but every week I'm thinking about the what if now. Just having that in my consciousness is mentally preparing me for the second wave, I feel.
Well, you know what? What is extreme? That's a question you have to ask, because here's the reality for me. Is I knew about these things, the possibility of these things way back in the 80s. An old friend of mine's father was really into, studying. And he, showed me some things. He showed me the King Alfred Plan and Agenda 21 and all these secret, things that have been planned. And then I read the Book of Revelations, and, right now I'm listening to the Maccabees and the Book of Enoch, and see this is information that we have not been fed. We have been given what they want to give us, and not the whole picture. So we're running around and don't want to get prepared for anything, and that's how we get caught, is that we're not prepared. And so for the second wave, it's very important that you have a support group, family. Now, if I'm in California, and so we don't have communities anymore. I mean, not for us. We have neighborhoods. And so in the South, there's 60% of us live in the South. So here in Southern California, we're spread out. But if you know it's coming, you can, prepare. Okay, this is the numbers that we call. This is what we do. When they say, hey, they're going to lock things down, we are not in a lockdown. People have to understand this is not a lockdown. Anybody who has been to prison knows what a lockdown is. This is just stay at home, stay away from big crowds. You can go to the store, you can take a drive, you can walk in your neighborhood, you can ride your bike. You're not locked down. You will know when you're locked down. And if you feel that is coming in that direction, you have a support group. People are alone. They don't have anyone, and they're already suffering from depression. So they are seriously having mental health crisis right now. It's important to reach out to, your support your family, your friends, whoever is in your life, and to reach out and check on each other on a regular basis. You can use Zoom. You can use GoToMeeting. You can use, if you have an iPhone, whatever that iPhone thing is, where you can see each other and talk, and that really helps with the mental health. So that support that you're talking about, when we had communities, we could depend on the neighbors. I grew up in a community. We knew everybody on the street, around the block. We knew everyone. If you needed help, somebody would help you. Things have changed. This country has gotten so much into individualism. We don't know our neighbors. We are on our own. And we've got to go back to the mindset of our ancestors. And that's a communal mindset. Everyone taking care of everyone.
You mentioned the ancestors, and one thing that I do to keep my own sanity is I have an ancestor altar at home. And every night before I go to bed, I always give my ancestors some food, some water. I burn some ancestral money for them. And I ask them for guidance, and I ask them to look over my family and my loved ones. And just doing that gives me this peace within that helps me have peace without. And I realized over my 44 years that I needed to line myself up with something that was greater than me, because I could only go so far with human effort. So by me aligning with my ancestors and really tapping into the frequency of the love that's the creator, I've realized that different doors of opportunity have been opening up for me in my waking reality. So one thing I don't want people to do is succumb to all this negativity and depression, because when you're depressed, your reality becomes this pessimistic, abysmal void of nothingness. You feel as if nothing, you just can't get right. And when you feel like that, all the doors of opportunity just don't open up for you. And everyone around you, you will lower their vibration as well. So one thing I want you to do is do more of something that it is that you love to do. Be more creative. Tap into that universal consciousness that's all around us, that's floating around like the wind, to create something that will make you feel better. I was able to finish my 5th book during this crisis. I do things in baby steps to keep my sanity. So if you're not doing anything, being productive, use this time wisely. Everyone that's listening right now, we've all complained about not having enough time to do everything that it is that we love to do. Now is the time for you to do everything that you love to do. I assure you, if you do it, that depression won't sink in as much, family.
That's absolutely true. And, this is a good time to journal, write poetry, write a story. We are living in history right now. But there's history and there's our story. There's how he deals with the issue, and there's how we live through the issue. And this is a perfect time to write your memoirs of what it was like for you going through this pandemic. No one living today has ever experienced anything like this. No one. That's why it caught us so off guard. So it's true. If you like to paint, or you always want to learn to paint, or you always want to draw, this is the time. I go in my backyard, and my husband and I, we tend to our crops. And, we do our gardening, and we work on our house, and it's almost like we're not even going through this, because we have things that we're going to do every day. Am I still working? Yes, I'm working from home. And when I'm not teaching, I'm creating curriculum, I'm writing, things that need to be written. I'm taking care of things that I wasn't able to take care of because I have run so hard for so long. And so, if anything, I'm exhausted from working now, because my brain now has a chance to spit out everything that it's been holding and make it come into existence. So we talked about food, and we talked about support. The third thing that is very important, and mental health, because meditating, praying, whatever your spirituality is, whether you are, whatever religion you believe in, if you're Pan-Africanist, If you believe in if you're Christian, whatever you are, that's between you and the Most High. Seek that. Learn more about your faith. This is the time, like I said, I'm reading Maccabees and a book of Enoch, and I'm listening, as a Hebrew, I'm learning more about who I am. And, that's very important for mental health. But the other thing that's probably the most important that I see a lot of people trying to do it, but more need to take this seriously. Yah made sure that he had a cure for everything on the earth. Before they had this synthetic medicine that they give us, we were already using medicine. It was from the earth. Herbs. Learn about herbs. Plant herbs. Make tea, echinacea tea. Build your immune system. Sea moss, red marine algae. There's so much that we can do. There's so many herbs. My regimen is red marine algae, elderberry syrup, 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C. Sometimes I add also turmeric. I take turmeric every day. So I take these things, and I'm not going to tell you that I haven't had days where I didn't feel well, but I can tell you that as soon as I felt my body off, and nobody knows your body better than you do, I jumped on that regimen, or I doubled my regimen, and I've been fine. Now, if you're proactive instead of reactive, if you stay at home, or if you got to go out, you minimize the amount of people that you're around. You wear that mask, and I'm going to say this because I've seen it too much. There's no sense in putting the mask on your face if your nose is not covered. Because it comes through your nose and your mouth. I see a lot of people, and they have that mask over their mouth but not over their nose. That is pure lunacy to me. Cover your nose and your mouth. If it doesn't fit, get another mask. Wear your mask, practice social distancing, keep those herbs in your body. Make sure you have 8 hours of sleep every night. The sleep is very, very important, more than you think, because between 10 and 2 p.m., 10 p.m. and 2 a.m., regardless on what side of the country or world you're on, those are the healing hours. That's when your body heals itself. I've been studying naturopathy. I never finished, but now that I've been home, I've had an opportunity to continue in my studies. And this is important. Your diet, you've got to change your diet. Don't eat out. I'm not saying don't patronize the businesses. They need to stay in business. But for us, for our health, we're going to have to change course and feed our body those foods that give us oxygen and healing. It doesn't mean you won't get it. I'm not saying you won't get the healing. I'm saying you'll give it one hell of a fight if you take care of your immune system.
Dr. J, you have a vast chasm of information, and I just find myself just want to listen to you talk. And as far as the herbs and things like that, I'm not. My wife, she's big on herbs. She's always making some type of concoction, making me drink things. And I just, listening to you is going to make me be more proactive and find out what it is she's giving me. She has an herb altar where she has nothing but hundreds of herbs on there. And she's grinding things up, burning herbs, sniffing herbs, and giving me teas and things like that to make sure I'm good. One thing that she always gives me is turmeric, ginger, cayenne pepper, and she makes like this hot tea, and I just drink that, and it opens me up. But one thing after listening to you, I'm definitely going to start doing is getting the 8 hours of sleep. I usually get like around 6, and I'm up creating and writing, and I'm going to start getting more sleep. Yeah,
the sleep is more important than people realize. Yes, the red pepper that burns so much bacteria and stuff out of you, the wild Mediterranean oregano oil. Dr. Sadie talks about a lot of this, the alkaline eating. Maybe you can't go completely alkaline, but I have a regimen, like I said, every one of my children have those same herbs in their home. I make sure that you have that in your home, because if it hits you, and anything hits you, you might be too sick to go to the doctor. You might be far away from it. You don't know. Have something in your house to fight with. It doesn't mean you'll win the fight. It just means you're going to give it one hell of a fight. It means if it takes you down, it's going to work real hard to take you down, rather than you just lay down because you're eating burgers and fries and greasy foods and, not taking any vitamins or herbs at all. People will tell you, you elderberry is just a berry, doesn't have any properties. That's funny, because the money is not in the cure. The money's not in the cure. The money is in keeping people sick, because they make money that way. So use your own judgment. I can only speak for me, and all of my students who I've given this information to have told me thank you. Because if something hits them, and in 24 to 48 hours it's gone. The ones who didn't listen say they wish they had. So disclaimer, I'm not saying I have the cure for the Rona, because I definitely don't. I'm saying fight.
There's something that's in the consciousness of people that prevents them from doing and using the things that would help them. But whenever it's too late, they always wish that they would have. And for the life of me, I'm just not sure what that is. I'm one of those gentlemen or guys that if someone tells me something that's going to help me, I'm going to at least give it a shot. I'm not going to dismiss it. So I'm not sure what it is that's in the consciousness of people that prevents them from doing what they need to do. I'm not sure if it's, I don't know what it is. Dr. J, can you shed some light on what that could possibly be? Because there are a lot of listeners right now that are listening to you, and they're not going to do anything you're saying.
I would say most of them won't do anything that I say, but I will tell them, we are programmed not to listen to certain things. We're programmed to believe that if it doesn't come from a certain person or in a certain way, that is hogwash. And social media, which I'm really getting ready to start. The only reason why I haven't put it down is because I'm running businesses and then I have a lot to say. I'm trying to talk to people. I'm trying to tell people, hey, think with your third eye. Think about what's being thrown at you. We have so many messages that I am also guilty of passing something that I haven't even researched to find out if it's true or not. So what happens is we have been so programmed to accept the lies that when the truth comes, we reject it. If it doesn't come from a certain type of person or a certain type of school or we reject it. I'll give you an example. I'm sure I'm going to have a lot of people say, you know what, she needs to be quiet. We keep calling the continent of Africa, Africa. But has anybody ever asked where did that name originate from? Has anybody looked up Leo and Scipio Africanus? Has anybody heard the word Alkebulan? So the question I pose is, are we African or are we Alkebulani? Or are we, what I like to use is highly melanated Aboriginal people? Aboriginal. That means original, not the copy. What is she talking about? She better get off that tip. If it's not in the Bible, it's not true. Have you ever researched anything for yourself? And have you ever, whatever book you got it from, did you go to the bibliography and see who they cited? And then go to that and then see who they cited. Because what you'll find in a lie is that lie has been going on for a long time. Look up the people that they cited and you tell me if you've been believing hogwash. if you've been taught hogwash.
They needed to hear that, Dr. J. I've realized a long time ago that the truth doesn't have to be the truth as long as it gets the desired result. And the result that we're in right now is a repercussion of a bunch of lies that we were told were truth. And, you know, I had this discussion with one of my uncles years ago, and we slightly fell out a little bit because I mentioned to him about the Younger Dryas. And I was letting him know that all the information that we have now is stemming from after the Younger Dryas, after this cataclysmic event that happened that wiped off most of humanity. But before that happened, there was a race of people that aren't even here no more that was winning. So everything that we read, everything that we know stems from what happened after the Younger Dryas. So everyone talks about how Africa was the first, but you know, there was a time where the United States may have been the leading melanated place. We don't know. So one thing that I always do, and that I implore people that listen to my YouTube page, is speak from their own know system. If you don't know, don't talk about it. If you're just one of those people that is parroting information, stop it. Because you're going to come across someone that does know, and they're going to call you out on it. And I believe our audience needed to hear that, because even me hearing it makes me want to go back and really research what it is that I think I know. Do I really know what I know? Or is it just a lie that I thought was truth? So that was I think the audience needed to hear that, Dr. J.
Well, you know, my mom had a book from very old book. I mean, this book is old. It was a science book. And my mom told me, take a look at this. I thought you'd be interested. And she had a bookmarker in the book where the book basically, and I wish I had the name of the book, but the book basically said, based on your skull and circumference of your skull and phenotype, you have a propensity for violence. And guess whose skull had the propensity for violence? It was us highly melanated people. And what I found interesting about that is, at the time that book was written, the majority of violence around the world had nothing to do with us. We didn't perpetuate it. So if you sit back, and I said, well, who are these people? And this is how I found out about Carl Linnaeus and Friedrich von Blumenbach, who created the issue of race as far as using it as a classification for human beings. And had my mother never showed me that, I would have never dug and found out where all this hatred and animosity and ignorance comes from. And so I don't debate people anymore. What I will say is, the way the world is going right now, and you need to read Behold a Pale Horse by William Cooper. Okay. Yeah. You might want to take a look at that. You know, he's no longer with us, and of course, when you read the book, you understand why. I would say if you start reading, because reading is fundamental, you'll find the bottom line is this. We're faced with something that has the ability to do great damage. You have a choice. You can let it destroy you. You can contribute to your own demise, or you can stand up and do everything in your power to not be a victim, but to be a survivor. Let the warrior in you fight back through your food, through, your herbs, through, clearing your conscience, getting your spirit right, through, embracing those who love you and, having a communal mindset and being ready to fight for yourself.
You mentioned Behold a Pale Horse. When I was 19 years old, I was waiting tables at Red Lobster in Atlanta, Georgia. And one of the cops that would monitor the restaurant, he was an ex-Marine, and he was liking the way I was thinking. I didn't really know much at 19. I thought I did. But he told me to go get a book because he seen that I was programmed the wrong way. And when I got that book, Behold a Pale Horse, it was thick too. It's not no, you just read it once through. It's thick. And it's hard to find these days. But that book opened my eyes up on agendas and how far in advance things are already set in place. We're talking about 10, 20 years plans are made that are implemented before most people are even born. And then you see them play out. And that's when I realized that there's a game being played. And that led me to a book called Stolen Legacy. And I started reading Slave. Yeah, that book right there really changed my mind on who we were as a people. And I started to realize that, oh my goodness, that book right there. But that reading those books was the catalyst to me becoming an author, because I realized that not everyone likes to read, but for those who do like to read, let me put a little bit of my light and my information in these books to help someone out years from now. The books that I write aren't really for the minds of people that are today. It's for people who are coming later. And earlier you talked about writing down about this experience. 10 years from now, when COVID is gone, people are going to be researching this time period. And if you have a book writing about it, whatever you write will be king. Again, I'm not saying write anything false or anything like that, but that's a great way to invest in yourself by literally documenting, time-stamping the way you're feeling, the way society is right now. It's an easy way to make some extra cash. And I'm big on making extra cash to win while helping people. So I appreciate you bringing that to the minds of the people listening to this call right now.
Now, see, there you go, bringing up something else that the people need to understand. Cash. How are we going to pay the bills? How are we going to keep the lights on? How are we going to do that with no money? One of the other biggest things that really hurt us in the first wave is they say the average American is living paycheck to paycheck. They don't have a savings. The average American has probably $1,000 or $2,000 in a savings account, and that's all they have. And we have seen, just since the doors shut first week of March, and this is May, there are people who have nothing. They are flatlined. Their finances are flatlined. They can't pay their rent. They can't pay their bills. And this is why people are like, open it up, even though they know to open it up is dangerous. They're concerned about, okay, we may survive, but how are we going to survive? How am I going to live with no money, no job, no way to sustain myself? And let this be one of the biggest lessons as well, is that we are supposed to have, and we have not been taught anything except go to college, get a good job, and work until you die. We are not taught to build business. We are not taught to have 7 streams of income. We're taught to have a savings and a checking. And when you don't have any more in your savings and checking, then what? We spend 60 hours a week working on that one job. We won't go and sell. I mean, people used to laugh on Crenshaw. They'd be selling incense and oils. I respect those brothers because nobody wants to hire them, but they're not out robbing anybody. They're selling incense and oil. And sometimes they can make $100 a day selling incense and oils and whatever else, that they have, just doing their own thing, going to work when they want to work. They may be out there 14 hours. That's like the person who sells fruit, on the corner. But it's a way to get money. Legally, the right way. If you have a hobby, start monetizing that hobby. If you know how to sew, Start sewing. These people are making money sewing these masks. But guess what? A lot of us don't even know how to sew. You could start sewing clothes. You could start, I'm not buying any more shampoo. I'm making my own shampoo. My hair is softer because of it. You know how to make things and monetize them. And I don't care if you only get an extra $500 a month. That's $500 that you wouldn't have. So when one apple dries up in a basket, you got a basket of oranges, a basket of pears, and a basket of peaches. But we have been all living off of one basket. And that's why so many are struggling right now.
Powerful. In my 30s, 20s, I was struggling because I was programmed to go to work, have a checking and savings account, and it wasn't working for me. And then I met someone that was wealthy. And he told me, as a young man, you need to have at least 10 streams of income coming in. And I told myself, I used the law of mentalism. And I said, I want at least 10 streams of income paying me at least $1,000 every month. If you do that, and it's real easy, but you have to create multiple vessels to be blessed with. I'm in 3 stock exchanges right now. They're all doing fairly well. I got my books. I got my services. I do work. I train people in martial arts. The list goes on and on, streams of income. But the thing is, every stream of income don't yield great results every month, but I make enough to sustain myself. And I also heard years ago that I need to have at least 6 months of income to sustain myself if I lose my job or if everything dried up. Because after 6 months, things usually change. It's not going to stay the same forever, but if you can maintain yourself for 6 months, you're going to be okay. But what you have to do the next time you get paid, and I don't care if it's just $20, I have a jar in my bedroom that's covered up with tape. You can't see what's in it. It's my just in case jar. Every time I get paid, I just throw $100 in there. I pay myself first before I pay any bills. We're so conditioned to make that money, then give it away. Pay yourself first before you do anything. Go to the ATM, get your little $20 out, put it in that jar, and when you need it, it's there. So creating vessels to be blessed with. I did a YouTube video on it on my YouTube page, The Enlightened Journey, creating vessels for the universe to bless you with. The universe is if you're living righteous, if you're doing the right thing, thinking right, raising your vibration, the universe will take care of you. But sometimes when you worry and you don't think good things are going to happen to you, you're literally dissing the Creator's love for you. Start knowing and feeling things are going. I expect good things to happen to me. So you really have to shift the way you think about yourself and your reality. And when you do that, reality will shift the way it looks and treats you.
Yes, that's it right there. You said it all right there. It's all about, what do you want? How do you want to live? So many of us are out here buying stuff we can't afford, going places we really can't afford to go. We're spending money and spending money and spending money. And now you wish you had every penny of that money that you spent. Everything that we have, we can afford to have it. Trust me. If I don't have 3 times the amount to do it, I don't do it. And you'll find that when you understand money and how it works and how it doesn't, and when money is not your main goal, you will find that your attitude towards it will change. Instead of thinking, I've got $1,000, I'm going to run out here and buy all these new clothes, you may have $1,000 sitting there and say, you know what, I don't feel like going out there. You know why? Because you can. Because you can do it. Just because you can sometimes is enough. Doesn't mean you have to. So now, all of us elders, I'm almost an elder. I was told I'm not an elder yet, but that's cool. It's a blessing to be one. If you get to be an elder, you are completely blessed to live up the years it takes to be an elder. And I will tell you that if you're able to help family. I don't mean giving them money, because here, that's a problem. People want you to give them money. No, never give anybody money. Don't give them fish. Teach them how to fish. And that way they can feed themselves for forever. But if you can put your loved ones, if they'll listen, in a place where they can learn how to sustain themselves and how to remain strong and how to defend themselves and support themselves and keep their mind together, that's worth more than anything they can leave you.
Wow, you said it all, Dr. J. I'm going to leave the family with these words. When your need to succeed is stronger than your will to fail, you're going to win. Your will to needs to be stronger than your want to. When you believe in your dreams as much as you need to breathe, family, no one can stop you. The moment you try to stop being normal, that's when you become free, family. You got to go beyond the boundaries of what you've been programmed with and just simply be your unique self. Dr. J, you want to leave the family with anything?
It's time to learn how to grow food, sew clothes, make soap, and create your own herbal medicine. Check out my YouTube. A husband and I have a YouTube channel. It is Organic City Homesteaders, where we teach you how to take care of your home and how to grow your own food. Take a look at that. Also, if you're going through any, depression or crisis, you just want to talk to a coach, jharrellsims.com, jharrellsims.com. And let's see what we can do to help you. Stay good, family.
Winning.